A very good evening, everyone. This is a brand new video on Angular concepts, an introductory video to get you started. And we have been using reference book as Angular up and running. So let's get started. So guys, before uh, we start with Angular, we need to ensure a couple of things that Node.js is installed on your system and also Angular CLI is installed on your system. So you can simply go to the Node.js website. You can go to the download section, download like I downloaded the Windows installer because since I'm using a Windows operating system, so I downloaded the Windows installer and just follow the next steps for that. And we also you can also check whether Windows on Windows whether Node.js is installed on your system. So I'll be creating my project in one of the test folders here. Let me create a new folder as test. And let me go inside this folder. Let me delete the earlier project. And meanwhile, let me go to the command prompt and let me check if Node is installed. So I'll just write node-v. So you can see version 14.6.1 is installed on my system. Delete this. It is getting deleted as it is. So we can also check whether Angular CLI is installed on our system with the command ngv. So you can see the Angular CLI 12.1.2 is installed on the system. I'll create a new folder. Maybe let me create this folder as test1. This is, I think it's deleted already. So let me see if it is blank. Yeah, it is blank. So I'll write a brand new code for to generate, like Angular CLI is very powerful. It can help you to create a lot of new components. Let's create a new project and name it as stock market. So the command is ng new stock-market is the name of my project. So it will generate the boilerplate code. And so it's asking me, would you like to use Angular routing? I say no. We'll learn about Angular routing in the subsequent videos. I choose a default style sheet CSS and it's installing and downloading the dependencies from Node Package Manager. It will take a couple of more minutes. So you can see stock market is already created over here, 17 July 9:40. That's the time right now. It will take a couple of more minutes for us to get started. Installing the packages, and you can see these files have been created: angular.json, package.json, and these are very important files: app component.html, spec.ts, app component.ts, app component.css. This is a root component that is created. We'll discuss about the hierarchy as well. It will take a couple of more minutes, so let's sit back till it gets created on the system. So as you can see, it is already created on the system. Now the next step on my part is to go into this folder, series stock market, and I'll tell you a very cool shortcut to open it in Visual Studio Code. You type code, then dot. It opens the project in Visual Studio Code. Now, before going into it, I would like to explain you the hierarchy, how it works. So, how the execution starts is we have main.ps file, right? This calls module.ts, right? This module.ts calls the root module, the root component, app component.ts. And this is nothing but the root component, right? And this app component basically, this is how the flow works, right? So when you talk about Angular, it's a single page application. So this is the flow, how the code flow works. So let me show it to you. And also I wanted to mention this, that Angular is a single page application. Like we have only one HTML. So if you go over here, you will see that there's just one inside app. We have index.html. This is it. Sorry, it was not inside app. It's outside app, index.html. So it's a very clean and very clear code that is written in index.html. And uh, and this is how this index.html, the code is written in a very clean fashion. So as I explained on the whiteboard, the code execution starts from main.ts, it goes to module.ts, then it goes to the root component. So from the module, we go to the component, right? So how the code execution takes place is we have this main.ts. It is bootstrapping to app module.ts. This is what I told you on the whiteboard. And this is basically calling the root component app component.ts, right? And when you go to app component.ts, it is being rendered. So basically, what is a component? Sometimes they ask, what is a component? So component is nothing, but it is a combination of TypeScript and some metadata. Now, sometimes people ask, what is a TypeScript? TypeScript is nothing, but it's a superset of JavaScript. So when the code is compiled, it is transpiled, the TypeScript is transpiled into JavaScript and it is rendered into the browser, right? So this is the selector app root. You will find it in index.html. This is where the code is getting rendered. It's a single page application. So in a way, we are modularizing the code. So app root, whatever is mentioned in the component.ts, whatever code it generates, it will be rendered in app root of the index.html, right? And after that, what's going to happen? We are saying use this HTML and this CSS. CSS would be by default blank. And when we go to HTML, let me scroll down. So this is the content that is being rendered. So let's try to run this application and see what happens next. We don't need the whiteboard, so I'm closing the application. So it's a very simple way to run any Angular application in the development environment. You just simply type ng. So this step basically transpiles the TypeScript code into JavaScript, which is rendered on your browser. So you can see it is generating the browser application bundles. This is the setup phase. So you can see it is compiled successfully, and by default any Angular application runs on port number 4200. So let's run it on port number 4200, http://localhost 4200. And you can see the beautiful pages rendered, which is by default written in appcomponent.ts and appcomponent.html. Now, one thing I wanted to explain you is when you look at appcomponent.ts, you can see this title is being passed from over here, and in appcomponent.html, if I scroll down, you can see title app is running, is being displayed, right? So this value is being basically passed from the TypeScript into the HTML component. So if I change this message and probably write coding is fun, and I save it and I go to the browser, you can see the message changes. So we are basically, this message is coming in a dynamic fashion. So let's sum up what we learned in this video. We learned how to generate the boilerplate code for Angular using this command ng-new. Stock market is basically the name of our project from the book Angular Up and Running. Then we learned the basic structure of the execution. It goes from the main.ts to app-module.ts, which calls the root component, right? And the code is being rendered. So hope you enjoyed watching. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.